Yeah, hey, Alex. There are only two offensive lines in the league right now that are top five in both run block and pass block win rate. You guys and then Green Bay. Could you weigh in on just how effective your offensive line has been this season, and then something that they can continue to sustain, if not even improve upon, as they get more reps together?
Yeah, I think they'll only get better. I agree. They are playing extremely well up front. I know Coach Callahan and Coach Peters do an exceptional job of getting those guys ready each week. With all the drill work they do on the side, those guys are constantly working as soon as they step on the field from pre-practice to post-practice. And I know that's paying off now. But really impressed with the way they've played up front, both in the run game and in protections.
Thanks, Jake. Next up is Tom Withers.
Thanks, Rob. Hey, Coach, was Jarvis in the quarterback's room at all this week?
I don't know, but I would take him in a draft if I had a chance, because man, that was one heck of a pass, and I've seen him do it. He did it against the Bengals last year when I was on the other sideline, or a few years ago, threw a dime down the right sideline. So obviously he's a weapon. He does a great job, makes great decisions, and extremely accurate down the field throwing the ball.
And speaking of weapons, Odell really kind of had another breakout game for him last week, first 3-touchdown game in 5 years or so. Now that you've gotten to know him a little bit, Coach, have you grown to appreciate the weapon that he is and the value that he brings to the team, whether he's got the ball in his hands or he doesn't?
Absolutely. And he's an extremely dynamic player. He can do a lot of different things. He does it at an extremely high level. And, it's our job to find ways to get him the ball. As you can see there, going back to him again, with the second time of the game on a reverse play, just putting the trust in the players, like Coach Kevin said, and he really came through for us, and we expect that moving forward. Got to get the ball to him early to get him going, because he really is a talented guy that can do a lot of things with the ball in his hands, whether he's catching it or running it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Scott Petrick, you're up.
Hey, Coach, following up on what Tom asked you about Odell, he dealt with that core muscle thing all last year and admittedly kept saying he wasn't the same player. So do you think it was important for him to remind everyone just how good he is with that breakout game last week?
I think so. He's a very prideful player. Obviously, he wants to be great. Guys like that, when they don't have a chance to show the greatness, kind of get frustrated at times. But what a better stage than in Dallas to do it in a big game, and then really pull us through to a victory there at the end. That was special for him, I'm sure, and it does remind everybody of the talent that he does have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Dan Lobby.
Hey, Coach, did you know Dearness Johnson had that kind of performance in him?
You saw flashes of that. I haven't been around him a long time, but I did see flashes in the training camp. He's a very instinctive runner. Also very impressed with that whole group in that room, really, with Nick going down and Kareem, kind of limited. Dearness thrust into that role. Dontrell having a big run. I thought Andy played extremely well at the fullback position, covered up a lot of things, made some key critical blocks. Great job by Stump Mitchell in the running back room last week. But we expect that from Dearness. I know Stump did. Next man up mentality. I know he's got those guys ready to go no matter what happens, and that was an impressive performance.
Also, Bill Callahan, I know, has been really important to this offensive staff. I mean, what has he meant to that running game?
It's huge. The scheme variation that we have each week, the things that he brings to the table. He's got a vast library of knowledge of different types of runs. He really faced almost every defense in the league at some point, understands how those runs affect those defenses. And, just the knowledge that he brings in, the scheme he brings every week to the run game, it's helped us tremendously. Very happy to have Coach on staff and lean on him a lot.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dan. Nate Ulrich, you're up.
Hey, Coach. Kevin Stefanski said earlier today that David Njoku looks 100% healthy to him. So I was just wondering, how encouraging is it to get David back? And do you think there's some things that he did in that opener that you can build on?
Absolutely. David's another guy that's a very talented guy. He brings a great, depth to that tight end position. We've had good play out of the tight end room this year, very solid performances in each of the games. And now he just adds another element to that. So another guy it's a bad problem a good problem having to find ways to get guys the ball. But when he gets the ball in his hands, he's explosive. So we have to be conscious of that moving forward as well.
Thank you, Nate. Next question will come from Mary Kay Cabot.
Hey, Coach, just wondering, when you guys are drawing up the red zone, is it completely 100% collaborative, or is there someone that deserves sort of special credit for being the red zone wizard this season?
No, it's definitely collaborative. Everybody has ideas. We all go through the ideas together. The thing that stands out in the red zone, and then most teams that are successful in the red zone run the ball very well in the red zone. And as you see, we have as well. So we have a lot of great passes schemed up, but if we could just run it in every time we get down there, we'd all be extremely happy. But it's definitely a collaborative effort.
Okay, thank you.
Next up is Scott Petrick.
Hey, Alex, without Cadero for the next few weeks, how do you approach that third receiver spot?
It's going to be a little bit by committee, and maybe we'll have another guy up this week, ready to go. Higgins should be possibly up. We'll see how things go towards the end of the weeks. But between him and Donovan, those guys will come in and split time and try to fill that void right now until Haji comes back.
And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't ask about losing Nick. Just how do you get by without a guy that was such a focal point of your offense?
It's tough. It's obviously going to be tough, and there's some big shoes to fill there. But, Kareem's a guy that's done it in the past, has had great success, and we expect nothing less from him. So we don't expect to drop off at all in the run game with Kareem in there. And then Jarvis obviously showed that he belongs and can play in this league at a high level as well.
Thanks.
Thanks, Scott. Back to Mary Kay.
Hey, Coach, just what are you seeing from DeForest Buckner and some of the other really good players on this Colts defense?
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge for us offensively. This would be the biggest challenge of the year. We feel very talented group of guys. They don't do a lot schematically, but they play extremely hard, and they're very sound, fundamentally sound and scheme sound. They do very little, but they do it a lot very well. So the efforts there, you see those guys on film, they finish and they run hard to the ball. So we're going to have to be able to play at a level that we can match or exceed their finish and their fundamentals. We've addressed that this week. But big challenge ahead for us offensively.
Thank you.
Scott, you're up.
Coach, we talked a couple weeks ago about Baker, and you said he was going to stop that interception streak, and he did. And it's been 2 games in a row. So how pleased have you been with his decision-making? And then how important is it this week with that Colts defense that takes the ball away like it does?
Yes, obviously that defense is talented. 7 interceptions, that's a ton. So going in, we got to make great decisions. I've been very impressed with them the last 2 weeks with Baker. In the game against Dallas, he had 4 balls that he threw out of bounds. Those are plays that we're okay with, right? We're fine with incompletions. We just can't afford the interceptions. So now we've started a streak moving in the other direction. We're going to see how long we can keep this streak going.